Good morning. Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to today's edition of Daily Wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. So, today is our first session after the daylight saving shift or change that happens. Sorry, there's a lot of background. So, today's our first session after the daylight saving stuff. So, hopefully, it works better for people in India as well. So, let's get started. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. So, give me a sec. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, you
Okay.
just to make it full. Yeah, good.
Okay. So the key thing is to change, see the time has changed to 7:30 a.m. IST. Others can figure it out. It's going to be 9 Central always. So Radhe Radhe, good morning, good evening. Let's get started with our opening prayers like we always do. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So Radhe Radhe, a very warm welcome to all of you. So let's get started. So today we are going to introduce new shloka and we are going to introduce a new series as well. And this series we have moved from the fulfillment, happiness, success, fulfillment, and happiness series that we were on. Hope we got a lot of good nuggets from that series for day-to-day lives. So these are more like supplements along with the main dose that we take to improve the efficacy of the main dose, right? Like we take some supplements along with the antibiotics so that its efficacy is improved. Same thing is with these nuggets as well. And now we're going to start with the series, Soul Soup series, around how can we make our mind our best friend. Now, if you might be wondering, isn't it the case already? Actually, this is what our scriptures tell us. Okay, so if you see these two people fighting, I mean, they are not friends. Apparently, that's why they're fighting. Okay, there's not fight between us, but this one of them is you, and the other one is your mind. They are currently enemies. Enemies means your mind is your enemy. You're not your mind's enemy. Your mind is currently your enemy. And it's your foe at this point because it is not leading us to things which are beneficial or uplifting for our spiritual growth. And as part of this series, over the next few weeks or months, I don't know, it's going to be a long series like we had the previous one as well. We are going to see how we can befriend it. Okay, it's important to befriend your mind to have a um, joyful, purposeful, peaceful, and a successful living and a fulfilling life as well. Now, we all wish to enhance the quality of our lives, right? To feel joyful and happy. All of us strive for that. And we desire to think noble and sublime thoughts. We wish to do productive works that makes a difference to the world. We all seek to be better human beings, in short, right? We are all striving to become better versions of ourselves. So there's an auto script which is embedded within our soul that inspires us to be more perfect, more like God itself. That auto script is there, that propels us to continue to strive to become the better version of ourselves in all walks of life. And yet, not everybody is able to achieve their cherished goals. So, what is the differentiator, right? Few people they are able to lead those inspired lives with noble values, and and find deep satisfaction in their work and relationships. But the vast majority, they are unable to, right? It's a bit of a struggle. They stumble along the journey of life, and they keep on tripping repeatedly over anger, greed, tension, and anxiety. So no matter how much they struggle, they seem to attract misery and failure. That can happen as well. Now, what is it? Why is the reality so different from our dreams and aspirations? Okay. And that is where the this faculty, the mind, plays a big role. In every walk of life, if we are able to harness the power of our mind, we can actually turn a corner, both materially and spiritually. On the other hand, if we don't do that, then it can lead our life astray. So today I'm just whetting the appetite for this topic, why it is an important topic. And I've taken a quick reference from Bhagavad Gita as well. It says, Uddhare Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhur Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha, which basically says, elevate yourself through the power of your mind and not degrade yourself. For the mind can be the friend and also the enemy of the self. So this series, we are going to tackle how do we change this relationship wherein our mind is leading our life astray to something where our mind becomes our friend and it actually leads us to the path which is not only auspicious but fulfilling and successful, leads us to a successful and a fulfilling life. So it's more of a mind management series. You can call it mind management, you can call it mind and learn to mind and mend your mind, um, or how to make your mind your best friend. So we are going to tackle a lot of analogies and systematically tackle this topic as part of our newer series. So with that said, let's get started with our today's topic. Now we are going to move on to our next shloka. I think these two shlokas go hand in hand. Verses 8 and 9, chapter 5, verses 8 and 9. We'll do a quick recap of the previous verse, maybe a summary, and then move on to give you some food for thought on what Lord Krishna is talking about, where we are going to talk about the concept of doership. So let's get started. I'm going to recite it and we can take 3 hands to get started. Now do it at your own risk. You can see a couple of tongue twisters here. Okay. This word is pretty, but yeah, let's try it. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavita Pashyan Shrinvan Sprishan Jigran Ashnan Gachan Swapan Shwasan Pralapan Visrijan Grihnan Unmishan Nimishannapi Indriyartheshu Vartante ti dharayan. Okay, I fumbled at something which was relatively easy. All right, go ahead. Who's brave enough to take it on today? We'll take 3 hands.
Shri Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe.
Shri Ramya, you get the bravery fortitude award for the day. Go ahead, please.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattvavid pashyan shrinvan sprishan jingran ashna gachan svapashvasan pralapan visrijan grihan unmisha
Grihnan.
Pralapan visrijan grinnan unmishan nimishanapi indriyanin indriyarteshu vartanta iti dharayan. Thank you.
Good job, Shri Ramya. Nicely done. Wonderful. We'll take 2 more hands.
Okay, so I'll prefer the video over. Okay, Shyamji, you put down your hand. Okay, Radhe Radhe, Shyamji, go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much. नैव किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्वित् पश्यान् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् गृहन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्पन् श्रवन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृहन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन् अपि इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. Radhe
Very
Radhe.
nice, Shyamji. You did well too. I mean, you didn't have an option to fast track it like Sumiran, but you did well, in the meter that you.
Thank you.
One more
Thank
hand.
you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. Let's take one more hand.
And Neeta ji, Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe, I will try. It's very tongue twister.
Yeah.
नैव किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित् पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशिघ्नन् अङ्गच्छन् स्वप्नश्रवन्
Ashnan gachan panchvasan.
प्रश्नन् गच्छन्. Very tongue twister. I need
Don't
training.
give up on it, okay? Please
Yeah.
continue, please.
प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्निमिषन्निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्.
Very nice.
Thank
You
you.
did
Radhe
well.
Radhe.
Radhe Radhe. So other two hands we'll take tomorrow. Sandhya ji, I think Sandhya did not do any favoritism with you just because of your name. We'll pick up your hand tomorrow. We take three hands, and Vinamra 7, which is Rupa ji, tomorrow. Let's give you preference tomorrow. We'll take only three hands because we need to wrap up our session on time. That's a commitment we have taken. All right, so let's get started. So Lord Krishna is saying, those steadfast in Karam Yoga always think, I'm not the doer, even while engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, moving, sleeping, breathing, speaking, excreting, grasping, and opening or closing the eyes. With the light of divine knowledge, they see that it is only the material senses that are moving amongst their objects. Now, it's a very important concept of who is the doer here. We touched upon this topic, I think, as part of the spiritual cash-up segment as well, I think, where it was discussed in a good detail. So we'll build on that. So today I will whet the appetite for this topic a little bit by just touching upon it. Who's the doer by looking at some analogies and stuff like that. But let's get started. We'll start with the we have some Mahashivratri. Happy Mahashivratri, by the way, to all of you. Hope you had a great celebration. We have been celebrating for the past 3 days. Today, I think the celebrations culminated. So hope you all had a great Mahashivratri. Now, on this occasion, I think it is befitting to talk about a Leela, Lord Shiva's Leela, I thought. So let's talk about that. Okay, this is a beautiful Leela. I thought we'll do it before, but I'm going to take this opportunity to do it today. So this Leela is from when Lord Krishna was little baby. Apparently, Lord Shiva decided to meet him. And when he decided to meet him, let's start with it. What does one magnet tell another? Anybody knows this? You are irresistibly attractive. Okay. So here we are talking about two magnets here. Lord Shiv and Lord Krishna. They are mutual admiration club. Now, Lord Shiv finds him irresistibly attractive, and the feeling is mutual on the other side as well. In fact, during our Lord Ram's avatar also, Lord Shiva, he descended from Kailash to have darshan of his Ishtadev. And in the Leela Jagat, Ram has Lord Shiva as Ishtadev, Lord Shiva has Lord Ram as Ishtadev, Krishna has his flute as Lord Shiv so that he can press his flute feet all the times, and Shiv has, has Lord Krishna has his Ishtadev. So these are the divine Jagat Leelas that they do. Nevertheless, let's move on with the Leela. So what he decided was to have his darshan. And he was in so much of hurry that he did not take time to change his attire or an outlook, right? How Lord Shiva is, he's decided, when he came for the Ram avatar, he changed his dress. At least he came as an ascetic. In this case, he had snake around his leg. and he had adorned himself with scorpions on his ears, and that form he came. But he waited for, no, he didn't wait. Actually, Lord Krishna, he killed Putana on the sixth day. So he knew he's going to call me up for a different reason, anyways, on the sixth day. So let me come on the second day itself. Okay, by the way, you would wonder why would Lord Krishna call Lord Shiva when he killed Putana? Actually, it happened, right? Maharaj explains it. So when Putana, she came with a poisoned breast to feed Lord Krishna, he thought, I have come in this Leela to have Doodh Makhan, and what is it? Okay, I'm not going to do this. But nevertheless, he had to participate in the Leela. So he called Shankar Bhagwan. You are, used to drinking poison and stuff, right? So why don't you do this job? You take out the poison part and I'll take the milk part. Okay, so he called Lord Shankar even at that time in that Leela. But nevertheless, this Leela is 4 days before that. So he came on the second day and in his original form, and he meets Maya. So, the Maya freaked out, as you would expect. She freaked out what kind of a Baba he is, right? And she said, Jai Ram Baba. And then she asked, "Well, Babaji, why are you wearing such a dress? Is it compulsory for God realization?" So he was like, she's so naive and simpleton. She doesn't understand. All that you need is love for God. She's going by my dress and stuff like that. Nevertheless, he said, you know what? This is only because of your Lala that I am in such a condition, in such a situation, because my job description that he has set for me is annihilation. So that is why I'm in this kind of a dress. So Maya said, how can you say that? For a 2-year, 2-day old baby, a mother cannot tolerate that statement. So she said, how can you say that? I'm because of your son and this and that. He's just a 2-day old baby, and just look at him, how tender it is. He says, you know what? I am actually the son of the son of his son. Shiv says. Now Maya says, now think of it like this Baba is saying that I am the son of the son of the son. Who's the older of the two? So Maya says he's 2 days old. Unless my Lala is expert enough to produce babies every 16 hours, how can this kind of a hierarchy is established, right? Not possible in 2 days. So she said, have you lost it, Babaji? He said, Babaji says, you know what? He's eternal. And technically, if you think about it, you have Pratham Purush, then Narayan comes from him. No, Mahavishnu comes from him. And through Mahavishnu comes Narayan. And through Narayan's forehead, Shankarji comes. So he's son of the son of the son, anyways. And he was not lying. And then says he's a Sanatan Tattva. He's a Sanatan person, eternal, right? But Maya's experience is different. She has seen him only 2 days back, lying next to her, after having been conceiving him for such a long time. We know how that Leela unfolded, right? So she said, no, Babaji, you have really gone something wrong in your head. Looks like you're suffering from hysteria or something. So Babaji said, wait, I am very happy today. Okay. No, mother said, I'm very happy today. All this is fine. Maybe you are suffering from hysteria, but is there anything I can help you with? Maybe a langot to cover yourself, this horrible dress that you're having, or maybe some kind of grain I can offer you. So Shivji said, Riddhi Siddhi are my servants, and Kuber is on my speed dial, right? We have certain friends and certain people on our speed dial. So he said, Kuber is on my speed dial, and you're asking me for this grains and this langot and stuff like that. All I need is your Lala's darshan. Please, that is what I have come here for. Okay, can you please let me have his darshan? Now she said, impossible. Mother is saying to Jagdish, no, Lord Shiv is Lord, right? He's Jagdish himself. But mother is saying, impossible. I'm not going to let you do that, because he's going to get scared looking at this Swaroop of yours. Now think about it. He's God, and a Jivatma is turning him down. Okay, and he has to obey. Why? Because the position of Jivatma in this particular Leela is higher than that of God himself. That is how God goes. So she turns him down, and disappointed, dejected, he thought, trip to Kailash is going to be too far off. Let me just go and at least relieve myself on the Yamuna banks by crying. So he simply goes to the banks of Yamuna and starts crying. And crying is the ultimate weapon. Okay, it's a nuclear weapon when it comes to melting God's hand. So whoever can cry, you guys are awesome. Okay, it's a unique thing. Tears, as long as it has reserved only for God. Okay, now it is a ultimate weapon. So he started crying there, and then Krishna's rule, we know, right? Krishna's rule is rule of reciprocation. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tas tathaiva bhajamyaham. He also starts crying. Okay, the moment he cries, he also starts crying. And then the Sakhi came and he said, what's going on? Lala is not stopping crying. What's going on here? And some Sakhi came and said, this Babaji, they did 1+1 together and said, this Babaji came, and after Babaji left, that's when she has started crying. So there must be something, that some tona ona he would have done. Go find him out. And then somehow they go and catch hold of Shivji, who's crying on the banks of Yamuna, and they say, please come. Now Shivji is showing attitude. He said, I don't go to Grihasthi's house and stuff like that. Then they had to beg him, please, please, please come. And then finally he comes, and Shankarji came inside. He looks at Krishna. Krishna looks back at him. When they see each other, the smile breaks out in Shiva's face. And ye yathamam prapadyante, he also smiles, and the problem is solved. So that is how this beautiful Leela unfolds. The same Leela happened when Lord Ram came as well. At that time, Shiv came in a much more palatable outfit, and Kakbhushundi had accompanied him. But that we will do during Ram Ashtami or Ram Navami. So, but nevertheless, now let's move on to our shloka discussion. So the previous verse, this is the quick summary of that. You start with uncontrolled mind and senses. Okay, this is how majority of us are. Start practicing Karam Yoga. Right? We're talking about practice Karam Yoga because this is a stepping stone to purify our mind, intellect, and senses. So then the desires, they start getting eliminated. In fact, they start getting dovetailed towards the higher cause, more purposeful cause, because now you are not doing it with a feeling of bhog, that is for yourself, but with a bigger picture in mind. So then your desires will start getting eliminated or starting getting dovetailed towards the right and the right. So this is how it goes. And then your senses, mind, intellect, they start coming under control, right? They start obeying the hierarchy as it's meant to be. So our intellect should be directing your mind, and mind should be directing your senses. So the reverse hierarchy, where our senses are having a free ride, mind is following, internet is saying whatever, okay, I'll follow you. That starts getting corrected. And you engage in more and more devotional service, because Karam Yoga is essentially building that consciousness. So now you will be doing more and more of that. And then finally, you will have a realized knowledge from within. As your antakaran or your ethereal heart starts to getting cleansed or purified, then the realized knowledge will start, the knowledge will start getting revealed from within. This is how the process unfolds. So that as the desires are eliminated or dovetailed, then you basically, the sensory pleasures, they start coming under control, and now these instruments are directed towards the service of the Lord, as opposed to for gratification of these senses alone. And then this devotional service leads to realized knowledge from within. And these are the successive stages of enlightenment. Even if you look at, see, this is the beauty of devotion. Here you are saying, don't kill desire. If you go to Buddhism talks about these 4 steps, right? They say that there is misery in the world. There is a cause for misery. And the cause for misery is desire, and you kill the desire and the misery is finished. So this is the process. However, in the path of devotion, they say, no, you utilize your desire and channelize or propel or dovetail it towards a better desire. So when you start serving God, when you start mixing God into it, the lower desires will automatically start vanishing all by itself, and you're dovetailing it. So this is the process in the path of devotion. And it's much more rasmay, or a lot more enjoyable, fulfilling path, as opposed to some of the dry paths you would see in if you don't practice devotion. And devotion anyway is a secret ingredient, regardless of which practice you are doing. Either you build those sanskars ground up, bottom up, or you have to inculcate it later point in life, because after a certain stage, even the guru will tell you that from this point onwards, I can't help you. Now you have to build devotion, you have to do bhakti to move to the next stage. So why not build those sanskars right from the word go? And Karam Yoga is a great way to inculcate those bhavs, sanskars, and practices in your day-to-day routine. Now let's move. Quick summary. So here you have material lens, then you have a spiritual lens. Karam Yoga is the bridge between those two. Now you make decisions and take actions based on material consciousness. Vishuddhatma, we said purified intellect, that is enabled through Karam Yoga, where you turn your material consciousness into divine consciousness. Then you make decision actions, they're based on divine consciousness for a larger purpose. Then you attach, now from a material standpoint, your mind is attached to worldly thoughts. And then as you practice Karam Yoga, your mind will become controlled, and then you will start seeing divinity. You'll start linking everything to divinity, right? And in everyone and everything. And then it leads you to a spiritual lens where your mind is getting attached to more of divine thoughts as opposed to your mundane consciousness. And then your senses are, if you look at the material, they are utilized for fulfilling your, sensory gratification alone. And then Jitendriya, when you reach that stage through Karam Yoga is enabling all of these, then you dovetail your senses also for the pleasure of God. So this is a quick summary of how you enable and move towards from material consciousness towards the spiritual consciousness. Now let's move on. So Vishuddhatma, we spoke about these three things. Noble soul is Vishuddhatma, while an intellect is cleansed. Vijitatma, the mind has been conquered. So intellect is cleansed, mind is conquered, senses are under control. All the three things, right? Horses, reins, and the charioteer, all three are fixed. When all three are fixed, the passenger is automatically in safe hands now. Right now, passenger is not in safe hands because horses are taking them wherever they want. So now the control is established, and that chariot example from Kathopanishad is now serving the purpose for which this chariot is given. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the topic of this shloka. We'll just till the ground today. So here is a herd of elephant which is going up the mountain, and it had to cross a wooden bridge. You see the elephant? They're a big elephant as well. Okay. Now there were two lice on the ear of an elephant. You see the two lices? I hope you're able to see those. They're sitting on the big elephant. And this elephant, it separated from the herd because it is big, and it said, okay, enough of roaming around with smaller elephants. And it decided to go solo on this, bridge. So as you see in the bridge with the lices on, what happens? You see the bridge is moving. Okay, I hope you're able to see it, right? It's moving. So when it moved, lices also felt that motion, right? Because they're sitting on the elephant. And lices said, boy, didn't we shake it? One whispered to another. I mean, they whispered to another, and they are sitting on the elephant's ear only. So they said, boy, didn't we shook the bridge really hard today when the bridge was moving around. Now we know, right, what happened here? How would you see this situation? What happened truly? Who's thinking who did that? Lices are thinking, but the reality is it's the elephant's weight that actually moved the bridge. So that kind of a doership. Now, who's the doer here? Is the lice doer or is the elephant doer? Who's the doer here? It's a very difficult question, but I'm sure some of you can try it. Shamji, you want to take that? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe Shyam ji.
राधे राधे, आपके सवाल जवाब बहुत मस्त होते हैं. The way you connect things, it's really perfect. कभी हाथी कभी गधा. But this case, you are true. That is the real elephant only who does all the thing. But as you want to say that हम ही सोचते हम करते हैं, but करता कोई और है, और हम सारा श्रेय खुद पे ले जाते हैं. Isn't it? राधे राधे.
True. So, the energy, the source of energy is God, right? And in this case, the elephant has actually moved it. But these lices are thinking they did something. Now, let me tell you another story now. Now, here's a dog. You see that happy dog? The dog is really happy. Why is he happy? He's happy because a lot of people are doing pranam to him. Okay, genuflection. No, it's not genuflection, but they are bowing down in front of him and he's very happy. Today's I'm having a date and my God, I've got so much of respect. People are doing that. The fact of the matter is that there is a Jagannath Yatra which is going on behind, right? He's just leading the process. He's just walking is one of the things, and people are bowing down. They're bowing down in front of Jagannath Rath. This dog is taking the credit for that. So it's something like that. Okay. I hope you're getting the sense of where it's leading to, right? It's something like that. When there are things that we end up accomplishing in life, we do things. And so when we swell our ego around, hey, I did it, then it's a little bit like that. There's more something which is a source to enable that, not really you. Okay. So this is the key concept to understand. Let's move on and talk a little bit more on this topic because this is a pretty interesting topic that we'll continue to build on. But I hope these two examples made sense. Now, okay, what happened? Okay. So here's a well. See, the point is we get a doership very quickly. For anything and everything, we can get that. Okay, so I'm going to illustrate it through a beautiful, not a beautiful, I mean, it's a humorous story. So we know, right, what happened, that when you look at the moon, which Karwa Chauth, right? So Karwa Chauth festival is there and people are actually waiting with bated breath for the moon, right? Husbands are more worried, for their lives than wives. Basically, they are looking at breaking their fast with the moon. So this guy, he took upon himself to find moon that day, okay? And he sees the moon inside the well. He looks inside the well and he was probably in an intoxicated state or whatever. He sees the moon. You see the moon inside the well? So he sees the moon inside the well and he said, oh my God, it has fallen into the well. I need to save the world today because moon is supposed to be on the horizon, not on the well inside. So what he does is he gets a bucket. Okay, you see the bucket? He gets a bucket and said, okay, let me pull the moon out. And in his effort, he tries to pull the moon out. The rope gets, stuck somewhere in the well and he falls into the well itself. And when he falls into the well, he's upside down and he sees, you know what? This is what he sees moon high up in the sky. He said, thank God, my good deed for the day is done. I saved the moon and now I've saved the world as well. Okay. So this is called kartitva abhiman, sense of doership that we get. Okay. Things are being enabled, they're happening, but we get kartitva abhiman fairly quickly. We need a reason to take ownership for, anything that we are doing. This is called kartitva abhiman. Now, this brings us to the question that if you are not doing it, if you're not doing it, we are doing it. It's like, think of it like somebody has a hit and run case. Like we had a BMW hit and run case. So somebody has a hit and run case and the case goes to the judge and judge says that, you are convicted of killing the people while driving the car. So you are convicted, and this person says, no, it was the car who actually killed them. So will the judge buy into that argument? It's still the driver who gets convicted, not the car itself. That was the instrument that was being used, right? Now, on one hand, we are saying God is the doer. We gave the example of the elephant and the lice. On the other hand, we are saying, no, you will get convicted. So how do we resolve this paradox, right? It's a pretty interesting question. And there is a saying also in Hindi, you see this leaves flying. And there's a saying in Hindi, Bhagwan ki marzi ke bina patta bhi nahi hilta. Now, patta waits for God's will before it moves. That's what it means, right? So even a leaf cannot move without God's will. Now, how do we resolve this paradox? What does it truly mean? And how do we resolve this paradox? Let's get a bit of a discussion on this because this is a topic we will go in more details in the next session. But I wanted to get your thought process around, or at least hear from you from the examples that we have spoken about on how do we resolve this paradox, and then what does it mean then when even a leaf is subject to God's will? What does it truly mean? Because this particular statement is used very widely in India, right? Bhagwan ki marzi ke bina patta bhi nahi hilta. And I don't know what interpretation do we get from it, but we are going to put it in perspective today. Yes, I see a couple of hands. Go ahead, Sandhya.
Okay. Yeah, so this equation has two variables. One is energy, another is free will. So we receive the energy and then we make use of our free will, and that's when the task, and I'm talking about non-surrendered souls like normal people. So this is how anything gets done. Now, of course,
Free will, yeah.
and so anything cannot happen, nothing can happen without the energy that we receive from God. So yes, unki marzi ke bina patta bhi nahi hilta. And but then the free will aspect is what can, you know, taint things in our direction. I mean, in the sense, whatever comes from God is all pure, but our impurities that we execute through our free will can actually make things go wrong as well. So
I think
yeah.
you've done the Karm Yoga session already, so good answer. Yes, Himanshu. Let's hear from Himanshu too.
Radhe Radhe Manjuji.
Radhe,
Radhe, I just wanted to say the same thing that Sanjay said, but
or you can say ditto there.
but but I, like one more thing I was thinking about, like for all these souls, obviously there is free will, but in earlier sessions we also saw that there are multiple factors deciding like a particular event, right? And also if God knows, obviously God knows about each and every soul. So God knows that, okay, I'm going to plan this type of karma for this soul in this birth. Let's see what action this soul takes with the free will. So God is facilitating everything for us in every birth based on our karmas, but then we are only not choosing it because of our free will, based on our earlier attachments and tendencies. So God is only providing us with the energy to act, and then it's our intention and our attachments where we will actually act. That's why we are changing our attachment to like divine instead of material, so that our mind becomes pure.
True. It's a pretty deep concept and often not understood properly and confusing as well, right? Some people, they find it very difficult to say, okay, we are saying God is the doer. Now, if when we say good things we do, we say attribute it to God. Bad things, then why do we not attribute it back to God, right? Or conversely as well, right? If God is the doer, then everything is God's, right? And if we are the doer, why can't we take credit for that? So this becomes a bit of a paradox in our heads to resolve. The fact of the matter is that, see, it's like this. We'll talk about it in more detail, but yeah, if we only when we are surrendered, right? We'll talk about this concept more in more detail. It's like when in the battle of Kurukshetra, Arjun was telling Krishna, right, go there initially before listening to Bhagavad Gita, go there, do that. He was directing him. But after listening to Bhagavad Gita, he handed over the reins basically to Lord Krishna. That means when we surrender our intellect to God, then he takes control. Then he becomes the charioteer at that point. When he becomes the charioteer, that's when becomes the real doer. Having said that, are we saying if you are not surrendered, God is not the doer, we are the doer? No, even then God is the doer. Why? Because he's enabling that energy for you. Without his power connection, I'll tell you a story. So there was, I think there was pride which was swelling in Devatas. Devatas are also like us. They are advanced material souls, but they are still under the sway of Maya. And they are in the material world only. So once God said, okay, let me, put it in perspective for them. So he goes and just situates himself in heaven as a big ball, light ball. So he's just situated there. So Indra said, in my dominion, which is this light ball? Go check it out. And he sends the Vayudev, go check it out. Who's it? And tell them to move away from here. So Vayudev goes and says, who are you? Can you move off? He said, no. Who are you? He said, I'm Vayudev. He said, so what? So, he said, if I increase my velocity, I can just blow you away like a blade of grass. So the fireball, God said, all right, go ahead and do that. So the Vayudev, it starts increasing its energies to become a tornado, like the tornado we see here in Dallas. It starts increasing its energy and starts increasing it, and God cuts the power supply, because God is the ultimate supplier of energy, and it's trying and it's still not able to do, and forget on, and he places a blade of grass, said, okay, try to blow it away, and he's not able to. So it goes back. He said, Indra, there's something, something unusual with this thing. I could not do that. So Indra thought maybe he's out of form today. Okay, we all have a bad day at office. He thought, okay, maybe he had a bad day of office. Let me send something more powerful today. He sends the Agni Dev to him and say, you go check it out, and drill sense into him. Maybe Vayudev was having an off day today. So then Agni Dev goes, and Agni Dev says, who are you? He said, who are you? He said, don't you know who I'm? Agni Dev, I can devour big forests. If I increase my temperature, I can, consign anything to flames just like that. So he said, okay, go ahead and do that. And Agni Dev starts raising his temperature, and then God cuts the supply again. So then Agni Dev also is powerless. And then he goes back, and then it dawns on them, it's actually God. He was telling Indra, basically, the pride that you have on the powers actually is misplaced. If I cut the power supply, if the power grid is cut, all the fans and everything, they can't take credit for moving on their own. So he's the power supplier. That when it says Bhagwan ki marzi ke bina patta, even a leaf cannot move without God's will, it means that he's the energizer behind it, inspirer behind it. Not that now leaf does not have a free will. Like in this creation, we have something called Jad, then we have something called Chetan. Sentient and non-sentient is a non-sentient entity. Now the wind, the energy from wind is also supplied by God. So basically that is the energy, because God is but is God the inspirer behind it? Yes, in this case. But in case of humans, you have something called free will in between as well. A knife in the hand of a surgeon can save life, but the same knife in the hand of a robber can actually rob people or kill people as well. How you utilize your free will, what determines what you end up doing with that. So basically, it's more of a statement that has to be understood in its perspective. It's not that everything God is doing. If God was the inspirer for everything, then everything would be perfect. He cannot make mistakes. But he's the inspirer only, complete inspirer only for a surrendered soul. For a partially surrendered soul, he may choose you an instrument periodically by giving you an inspiration to get something good done. So a devotee always harbors a sentiment that if anything good gets done, it is because of the inspiration of God. And if something bad happens, it's because of their exercise of their own free will, because of their gunas, which is still imperfect. So that is the real understanding of thinking that if we wait for God's will for everything, like people say that maybe God did not desire that, that is called Ishwar Tushti. Or we wait for, okay, maybe when time will come and God will desire, Kal Tushti. Those are kind of tushtis which prevent us from washing our hands away from our self-effort. And they are big impediments for us on the path of spirituality, because they prevent us from doing surrender. So those tushtis, this concept has to be understood in its proper, in properly. Otherwise, we will put it out of context and put everything back on God. That only when He'll desire, only when the time will come, will things will happen. The real thing is God is the energizer behind everything. He's the ultimate power grid, and His energy is agnostic of how you're going to end up using it, because He's given you the free will. So there was one statement I had read in one of the books, I've forgotten, in which God said that your will is my will, but that does not mean my will was yours. That means whatever you'll decide to do, I will give you the energy. Your will is my will, but that does not mean my will was yours. That means whatever you choose to do, will give you the energy. There will be price. So there's a price tag for the energy that He gives us. And that price tag is law of karma. There are consequences and there are results for every action that we take. He is going to give you energy. But only when we are completely surrendered, does he take control of our actions at that point. And only a saint can truly claim that I'm not the doer, God is the doer. They can truly claim that, like Tulsidas ji said, right, when he wrote such a beautiful creation, that Ramayana. Then he was being asked that, how did you write such a wonderful scripture? And he had famously said that, ना मैं करी ना करी सकूं, साहिब करता मोर, करत करावत आप हैं, tulsi tulsi शोर. Now, if a saint is saying that, it makes sense because they're perfectly surrendered and God has taken control. And they've just become an instrument of God. Us, while we are on the path of, yet to perfect our surrender, even then God can choose us as an instrument to get something accomplished at periodically. Like he probably inspired Bill Gates to unify the technology around the world, because of which we are able to use it, right? Windows became popular. He can choose somebody as an instrument. There, if you start to take credit, that's called a thief mentality. And that's where, if you give it back to whom it truly belongs, that is an attitude of gratitude that draws more grace, because end of the day, he's enabling us to get something good done. But something bad happens, you say, okay, my gunas, I'm still a WIP, not a VIP as yet. So because of my gunas, I might have exercised my free will in the wrong way, and because of which it ended up happening. Yes, Sandhya, maybe we can take one or two questions on this, and we will continue to build on this discussion in upcoming sessions as well.
Okay,
Any
there's a comment from Lakshmi ji.
Mhm.
That everything is well planned and everything goes on by God's plan, which is good for us, but we are interrupting with our free will and ego doership.
Yeah, we have a free will. I think it is a very interesting and analytical topic. We can go a little more in detail on that as well. Do we really have a free will? Yes and no. Why no? Because unless we have a witness consciousness and we take control of our autopilot Tesla, our free will is truly not a free will. It is dictated by our sanskars and our gunas. Our gunas and sanskars will keep on driving us. Only when you take control, take a back seat, and do something against your nature or your sanskars, then you are truly exercising your free will. So for most part, our free will is automated as well, because we are actually subservient to our gunas. So if somebody is a thief, then they might as well be a kleptomaniac, right? They'll just pick up stuff wherever they see. But then if they have come across this divine knowledge, so something will tell, hey, if I do this, then I'll go to the Kumbhi Nark, then this is not the life I want. And then they can suppress their nature and take some corrective action around it. So the free will is also a pretty interesting thing. For most part, it is automated. Even though it's free will, but if we can exercise it, it's a big deal, because that needs a bit of a witness consciousness and taking a step back and a proper knowledge to rise above our gunas. Then it becomes free will at that point. Otherwise, it's kind of an auto script that's driving us for most part of our life. And we keep on deepening that nature if we are not doing something systematically, consciously, and mindfully about it. Yes, Sandhya, you wanted to ask something?
Yes, so there are two questions in the chat.
Mhm.
First one was actually a series of questions. So like Kumarji was basically inquiring regarding demigods. That first of all, what is it that makes them demigod? What is it that a soul can do to become a demigod? Secondly, are they surrendered or have they realized God? Thirdly, if not, are they not truly in the service of God? So, how come they are not God realized? So questions along those lines. So you can just clarify it all.
Yeah, they are advanced souls. I think we all have become Indra. Maharaji says we all have become Indras. Okay, multiple, not just one, multiple times. Indra, Varun. So many lifetimes we have had that the probability of us not having gone through any yoni is nil. Everything we have gone through. Now, how do they become? Scriptures tell us, right, how to become Indra. And then I think the elevated souls, they could be entrusted. So it's more like a post. Like when a government comes, they have a different ministerial posts. cabinet minister, treasury minister, foreign minister, that like we have Varun Dev, Agni Dev, this, that. So they're demigods. They're demigods and they are like posts. And after their tenure is over, they have to vacate that post. Another soul is picked up to do that. They are not God realized, although everything in this creation is serving God. That is by the virtue of their constitutional position. They end up serving because they are also taking care of celestial abodes, right? People who have meritorious deed, they govern them. They have a better life for a temporary period of time and they govern them. And these devatas, they bestow rain, grain cycle they sustain. So they are also tasked with their job responsibilities, but they are not God realized. They are in the service of God. They are not, they are called bhogyonis. Bhogyoni means they can only have a withdrawal only account. So whatever meritorious deed we have acquired as part of our Manushya Yoni, we are given a gift, or God pays us back in form of a better life temporarily. Once everything is exhausted, you cannot do any plus in that. You can only minus it. Once that is exhausted, you are back to this 8.4 million species. So they're not God. They're like material souls. They also suffer from uh, all the afflictions that we suffer from: anger, greed, envy, lust, all that stuff. They also suffer from that. Their tensions that are at a different level probably, but they are definitely more evolved souls than us. And they strive to get a human life so that they can do plus in their balance, spiritual balance, which they don't have that ability as part of that life. So that's how it is. And that is why they're not God. They are called demigods. There's a difference between them and God. And it is a temporary post. It's a position they have to vacate. And after that, an Indra can become an ant or a pig as well, or a human as well. Anything is possible because they're still playing the 8.4 million game. They're not beyond the cycle of life and death. And those celestial abodes can go um, all the way up to Brahmalok, which is the highest lok. And the happiness keeps on increasing there. Temporary happiness, material happiness. And then you have Narak loks also. I think Tal, Vital, Rasatal, Talatal, Rasatal, Talatal, Patal. I think Sutal, Vital, Atal, Talatal, Rasatal, Patal. All those Narak loks are there as well, 7. So that is how the creation is. It's like a staircase, maybe kind of a deal.
There are many questions, so I can take maybe few. So from Kumarji, there is a follow-up like, why would God select such people? And I just wanted to say one thing, or maybe ask in this context, that all this being said, it's possible that a saint who has realized God could also receive the responsibility of doing some administrative job as a demigod. That's also possible. Like, we can't say, but right.
Although, see, I would say that goes against the law of God. Once you become God realized, yeah, he could send them. Like if he can send them to Mrityu Lok, why not? Demigod as well, possible. Any permutation combination, although they are not obligated to come back to 8.4 million. Once God realized, always God realized. Once you become a pudi, you cannot become Atta back again. Now, why does them do that, Kumarji? I think it's a good question. You can file a petition to God that why do you do that? I mean, it's very unfair, but he chooses those people to run the administration of this material universe, and he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to play flute and give love in his Vrindavan Golok. Now, in order to govern material universes, he creates a lot of posts. Now, some of them are those posts can be governed by Swansh, which is Mahavishnu, Shankar, and Brahmaji could take that position as well occasionally if a particular Jivatma he doesn't find, like Indian army or any army. If you don't find a qualified soul, then he may take on that position. But a Jivatma, you and I can become a Brahma as well. But the good thing about becoming Brahma, which is the highest of the celestial abode, is that for all the hard work that he does, right? Every day of Brahma, we know it's a lot of hard work that Brahmaji does. Typically, he gives him his own abode afterwards. He becomes the highest devotee of God. Now, God's creation is pretty vast, right? And he's created higher gradations of bliss and lives as well. So I think he likes variety. That's why he's created celestial abodes as well. And that's another carrot he's throwing our way. Do we want to fall for that carrot of celestial abodes, Swargloks, or do we want to reject that and just want to go to his abodes only? But yeah, I mean, I think for the administration and to probably to create more variety and maybe another level of bliss that he has created for us, to see, do we reject that or do we continue to strive for that? A lot of purpose it serves, I guess. But yeah, God only can answer that question.
2-3 more questions I'll quickly take before we.
Sure. Then we go to our Bhakti Shatak, right? Yeah.
Yes. So one is from Sita ji. In life, we will have options to choose. It's not that things will happen always automatically. In that case, how does the plan of God works?
We will have options to choose. So in that case, how will plan of God work? Right. So that's a good question. We'll have choices. We do have. So at a macro level, God is controlling things. At a micro level, we do have a free will to exercise stuff. I always used to wonder that, we have 4,32,000 years for Kali Yuga. Now, if we are choosing our free will differently, will it extend that or shorten that? I don't know. Maybe those at a macro level, God controls that. So there is something called prarabdha that we have to deal with, certain things which happen in our life, and then there is something called honi, God's will as well. Honi is something that happens, like the cyclical process that we see. So we do have choices. It's not like God is making those choices for us. We do have choices. At every point, we can make choices, and He has given us that free will. Having said that, his algorithm works in a manner that, I mean, I'm thinking if we, like in the case of Mahabharat, maybe those souls who are supposed to go through some kind of a catharsis or maybe mass destruction, that why he brought them all together in one shot, right? In that particular yuga. But yes, we do have a choice. We have a free will. We have a choice at every moment. If we didn't have a choice, then Lord Krishna would not have narrated Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. He would have told us in one word, okay, you don't have a choice. Just wait for what I do and keep seeing the drama around you. He said no. He told him that this is how you need to carry out your work. And then finally he tells him, Yathechasi tatha kuru. As what you think now is right, you do. He leaves it to his free will. So in the shloka itself, he's telling him, Yathechasi tatha kuru. That means now what you think is right, you do. That means he's giving him the free will. And he's not telling him, you do as I say, or he's not telling him, you don't need to do anything. You just need to wait for what I'm anyway going to do. So he's left it to our free will and left it to our prudence, to our wisdom, to our intellect to make choices in our life. They say life is A to B to D journey, birth to death with C in between. C is choices.
All right. Last question, which is something that you already discussed. So Falguni ji asked, do we really have a free will? And there is a comment from Imanshu ji, which I'll read. He says, it is like saying, is the mind controller or the intellect? If the intellect is the controller, then we are exercising our free will. And if the mind is...
Free will is a symptom of soul. Intellect also, we need to chide at time. Okay, it's a pretty interesting discussion. We'll continue on that. It's not a 2-minute conversation. We'll build on this topic. Okay, it's a very technical topic, and we'll peel layers around it as well. Free will, is it a symptom of our intellect, or is it a symptom of our mind, or is it a symptom of our soul? We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, good discussion. Please fill in on the feedback tracker for any questions that you have around the concept of doership. We'll keep on bringing it to our session. Now let's do a quick round of chanting. 3 hands we'll take because we are on Bhakti Shatak, so that we can wrap it up on time, do our third segment as well. And mind management is what we have started doing in our Soul Soup. So please, I hope you have gotten adjusted to the new times that we have, 1 hour early for India and a bit of adjustment for other time zones as well, I believe. Okay, let's take 3 hands for the day and
Yes.
the Bhakti Shatak going.
Sure. Kashti, Radhe Radhe.
Somebody's going to make debut today. Huh? Go ahead, Cash.
Okay. Jai Radhe Krishna Radhe 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 Krishna Radhe Joi Radha Soi Krishna hai इनमें भेद ना मान राधे राधे एक है हलादिनी शक्ति अरूप शक्तिमान एक जान राधे राधे Thank you.
Radhe Radhe. So you win the best debut award, hands down, because there's no competition. Okay, everybody else has sung here. Good job. Thank you for taking initiative. Loved it. All right, let's move on to the other two hands.
Radhe Radhe Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe Shyamji.
Radhe Radhe. Thank you so much. जोई राधा सोई कृष्ण है, इनमें भेद न मान राधे राधे। एक है हलादिनी शक्ति अरूप, शक्तिमान एक जान राधे राधे। जय राधे 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 राधे।
Radhe Radhe Shyamji. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll go next and then Aparna, you can go so that I can set the meter for this one. Okay. जोई राधा सोई कृष्ण है, इनमें भेद न मान राधे राधे। एक है हलादिनी शक्ति अरूप, शक्तिमान एक जान राधे राधे। जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे। Okay, so go ahead. We can take maybe one or two more hands.
Aparna ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Aparna.
राधे राधे। जोई राधा सोई कृष्ण है, इनमें भेद न मान राधे राधे। एक है राधिनी शक्ति अरूप, शक्तिमान एक जान राधे राधे। जय राधे कृष्ण राधे 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 कृष्ण राधे। Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you, Parnaji. And take maybe one, we'll see. So basically this verse says that Krishna is inseparable form of Sri Radha and Sri Radha is inseparable form of Sri Krishna. Sri Radha is the Hladini Shakti, bliss potency, and Sri Krishna is the omnipotent. So God is Satchidanand, the Sat, Chit and Anand. So Sat rolls into Chit, Sat and Chit both roll into Anand. And essence of Anand is a Hladini Shakti, and a personified personal personification of that Hladini Shakti is the Radha Tattva. Okay, that is what Radha is. So they're inseparable, no difference whatsoever. Like milk and whiteness, it's same. They are inseparable. In Leela Jagat, they take on different forms. To see the beauty of this thing is that Krishna takes he enjoys Gaur Ras, Radha's Ras. Radha enjoys Krishna's Ras, and as a devotee, we can enjoy both Ras, Sham and Gaur Ras. So he's given us, they said, okay, yeah, they have a father, let me give them a mother as well now. Okay, let's take maybe
So one thing, one statement here. Like I remember this, hearing this from Swamiji, that how lucky we are that we have received Maharaji, who in one entity we have Radha, Sham as well as Guru. So that is like something impossible to get, and we are so blessed to get that. So yeah. So
yes.
Lakshmi ji, we are
Two,
taking
Radha, Krishna, all rolled into one. 3-in-1 deal we have gotten in our life. Very nice. Maybe let's quickly take 10, 5. We can take maybe one hand. Time permitting, we'll take one more, but go ahead, Lakshmi ji.
Radhe Radhe Lakshmi ji.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe everyone. जोई राधा सोई कृष्ण है, इनमें भेद न मान राधे राधे। एक है लादिनी शक्ति अरूप, राधे राधे। शक्तिमान एक जान राधे राधे। जय हरे कृष्ण राधे राधे। Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you so much. No, no worries. Sita ji, you're asking what is the purpose of feedback tracker? It is, yes, it is asking to details, email, phone number. Its purpose is to see if you have any questions that you want to bring to the session, or if you want to share any feedback about the session, you can type it in. That's all it is. It's a good way to interact with the participants and knowing what we can bring to these sessions, or having a general feedback as well. So that's what it is, Sita ji. I just saw your message. Okay, maybe one more hand we can take and then call it off for today, because it's 10:05 and it's already 10:05. So maybe tomorrow, Riyaji, because we are trying to stick to this 10:05 schedule. Tomorrow we'll continue, and the remaining hands we can take tomorrow, even for the recitation. So thank you again, everyone. Hope you are getting used to this time. We'll continue to publish it in our flyers as well. Today was the first day after the daylight, but I think we had good numbers. A lot of people turned up, so which is good. Usually it's
But
the
actually, I
Mhm.
see people from India, some of them are joining now. So looks like they may not be aware. So yeah, we can just repeat. The times have shifted by 1 hour. So for people in India, the class will be starting at 7:30 a.m. IST instead of 8:30 a.m. So yeah,
I hope it works better for you, because it's
non-overlapping with working hours, hopefully.
with work. Usually it works better for India. I've seen at 7:30, but you'll have to maybe sacrifice a bit of your sleep or whatever
Or
thing.
sleep earlier and wake up earlier. Yeah.
Okay, so with that, let's call it off. We are 1 minute over today, but I think we did good. So thank you. Radhe Radhe. Good night. Good day from my side. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Riya ji will take you up tomorrow. Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yep. Radhe Radhe.